everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to share a trio of cards using brand new products from the Pinkfresh Studio November 2022 release. We're going to focus on backgrounds today with some foiling and stenciling, two things that Pinkfresh Studio is very well known for, and it's super fun to kind of play with different color combinations. I picked colors that didn't necessarily go together for these bright, happy cards. We're going to start with the overlapping geo leaf, and we are going to glimmer this background onto Hammermill cardstock using silver foil. And I decided to go with silver today. All of my accents are going to be in silver, but I think it would be beautiful in golds, brass colors, all kinds of different colors depending on the look that you're going for. So I'm going to foil the design on 3 different sheets of cardstock. And I like to use a half sheet so that I have plenty of room to work with. And especially with this particular background, there is a coordinating die available, meaning it's going to die cut around the edges, which I'll show you here in a minute. I did get a new foil machine. My original OG Spellbinders Glimmer foil machine died, so I picked up this new one, and oh my gosh, you guys, I should have got a new one earlier. It works amazing. Next, I am going to take the geo leaf, or overlapping geo leaf, pardon me, stencils, and I'm going to start inking up the background. I am using ballet slippers first, and of course, just like always, Pinkfresh Studio does an amazing job numbering the stencils. There is 5 stencils in this set, and I am going to do ballet slippers first, and then we're going to do a little peach fuzz next, and the overlap is going to just give us this really, really beautiful result. I ended up doing 1 pack round, and then I did kind of mass produce, although it's not really mass producing since it was just 2 other backgrounds, the final 2. But I wanted to make sure that I liked the color combination before committing to all of these foiled backgrounds, since I'd already moved my foiling machine out of the way. Next, I'm just double checking to make sure that I've kind of got it all planned out in my mind of how it's going to look. I love this with stencils that you can really kind of check and double check. I was trying to figure out which color I wanted to do next so that you can definitely see my thought process there. Passion fruit is next, which is a beautiful red color. I like that it's kind of a brighter red and not a deeper, darker Christmas red, I guess. It's definitely a passion fruit color. And finally, we're going to do a really pretty blue. It's looking so pretty. And I tested a few, but I ultimately decided on Ocean Breeze. I couldn't decide what I was going to like best, but I think Ocean Breeze is going to be the right color, and I'm super glad that that's what I went with because I think it turned out amazing. That little pop of blue is really, really pretty here. Now the final stencil is going to be like about 6 squares that are connecting all of our overlapping geo leaves. And that is important because when you go to die cut, it's going to die cut all these pieces. I couldn't quite decide what color I wanted to do those in, and I ultimately decided in passion fruit, and I'm super glad that I did because I do think that the red really kind of pops as the center color for all of these flowers. You could mix it up if you wanted to as well, but I really, really like how this turns out. There's a lot of different ways to use this stencil. You could try to do each of these individual overlapping geo leaves in different colors to form different kinds of patterns, whether it be rainbow, or maybe you want to do, kind of 4 shades in one color family per flower. and kind of do different things like that. So instead of doing a whole bunch of different colors, there's a lot of really fun ways to use this background. I love creating my own backgrounds for cards, and this is a very fun way to do that. The florals we're using are also stenciled, but I would say the focus this time is the background. The background is super interesting, super fun, and different than a lot of things that you might see. And I personally like that. I love creating my whole card from the base up and making it very unique and personalized. And I'm going, you can see I haven't even cleaned my stencils yet, and now I'm just doing all of them to get all of my backgrounds done. And you would do the same thing no matter how many cards you want to make. This is another great way to mass produce. I think Pinkfresh Studio creates a lot of great products that are fantastic for mass producing cards. Everything from our background to using the florals and then the Jeff alphabet and sentiment strips is going to be the same. It's just mixing up the florals we're using and the alphabet we're using and the sentiments we're using. That's where the differences come in. And that could be for anything. You could create all kinds of different cards with this. I even think this background would be really pretty in Christmas colors, and use some Christmas florals and create some Christmas cards. Maybe more like a modern Christmas. I think that would be really, really fun as well. So there's just a lot of really cool ways to use these products. The alphabet, I do want to mention that I think would be amazing for creating customized or monogrammed gift tags for the holiday season or any kind of gift giving that you have. So it's coming out at a great time. This is the November 2022 release. So kind of near the end of the month. And a lot of these things could be used for holiday. Now, I'm using the florals from this release. These are the Dreamy florals that I'll be showing here in a minute. So that's going to be probably not Christmas themed, but I love that you can use a lot of the different components from this release for all kinds of different cards. Oh my goodness, look how pretty that is. Now do keep in mind, it looks a little blotchy now. Maybe in the finished photos, you will notice that it's all smooth and soft and pretty. These are dye inks, and as the ink is absorbed into the cardstock, it is going to smooth out a lot, and you end up with beautiful results. This is the coordinating die for the overlapping geoleaf, and when you die cut it, it die cuts around all of these shapes. Look how amazing that is. Oh my goodness, you guys, I absolutely love it. So here are my backgrounds. Next, I am going to go ahead and foil the Dreamy florals. This is another foil plate. There is a stamp set as well. If maybe foiling isn't your thing and you like to do the stamping and the stenciling, I love that there's so many options for all kinds of makers. You can do whatever technique you like the most. Since I did the foiling for the background, I really thought it would be fun to do the same kind of foiling. You're going to see the silver accents, as I mentioned earlier in the video, throughout. From the foiling of the overlapping geoleaf to the Dreamy florals. I'm going to use silver metallic cardstock for my die cut alphabet, and I'm going to use silver embossing powder for my sentiment strip. I tried to be consistent there. Now this stencil set, again, super, super easy to use. I knew I didn't want to kind of go off, you know, and use completely different colors. So I'm going to go back to ballet slippers and passion fruit for my flowers. And the only thing that really kind of maybe threw me for a loop I had to think about was, what do I want to use for the leaves? I didn't use greens in the background. I kind of swatched some greens trying to see if I thought I wanted to use greens for the leaves. But I think this is a great opportunity to mention you don't have to do your leaves in greens. I ultimately decided to use the Ocean Breeze and Aquamarine Pinkfresh Studio ink colors to ink my leaves, and I'm so glad I did because I feel like they match the cards so much better. And so I thought it would be important to kind of talk about that a little bit. When you're designing, don't be afraid to completely go, and let your imagination run wild, I guess I want to say. So when I first started this, I was super afraid it wasn't going to look good, but I ended up absolutely loving it. This floral set is really, really pretty. You'll notice that it kind of gives you 3 separate floral groupings in this Dreamy Florals set. And that is one of the reasons I chose to do 3 different kinds of cards. That way I can use all of the florals. Now I did end up with a couple of extra florals, so I'm going to create a couple more of these backgrounds to create some more cards. But I love when you can get lots and lots of die cuts or images or whatever it might be from one set to make multiple cards. I'm a huge fan of multiple cards. So we've got our base of our flowers and leaves, and now we're doing the layering, and I love how the passion fruit looks over the ballet slippers. I only did 2 of these. I only did 3 cards, so I could have got away with only 1 foiling and stenciling, but I wasn't sure, and so I did go ahead and do 2. Now you'll notice that I ended up using the tiniest little floral grouping twice on 1 card, so it did work out, but you could get away with just foiling it once if you wanted to do a trio of cards like I did here. For the layering piece for the leaves, this is pulling in a different color, but it's the aquamarine, so it's just going to be like the next shade up from the ocean breeze, and it will give a little definition to those leaves, and I love how it ended up looking. So not really kind of going rogue and going crazy there. And then finally, we're going to go back to the peach fuzz, and in the flower centers for our final stencil, we're going to use that peach fuzz. And it's a little touch for each grouping of flowers. And we'll simply stencil that, and then we're going to take the coordinating Dreamy Florals die, and we're going to die cut all of our florals. It is 1 die, it lines up, and then die cuts all 3 with 1 pass of the machine. Something else that I really, really love about Pinkfresh Studio. They think of all of that, and it makes it very easy for mass producing. Again, I'm just going to use some low tack tape to hold those down and hold those in place while I run them through my die cutting machine. I did decide to take some salvaged patina distress spray, and these are top fold card bases. I didn't want to use another piece of cardstock, so I ended up using just the card base itself, and I'm doing splatter. I felt like the background needed something a little extra. I had started to place the overlapping geoleaf on one of the backgrounds, and I felt like it just kind of, it didn't pop the way I wanted it to. Maybe that's what I want to say. And I have been finding that I am loving the Distress and Distress Oxide sprays, as well as the mica stains, because it adds just that little perfect touch of distress to a background. Look how much more interesting it looks with that little bit of splatter all over the background. I love it. I'm going to glue down my overlapping geoleaf on each of my card bases. And I'm using a little liquid glue. I think it would also be really cute popped up with foam adhesive. I'm going to pop up my florals, and I decided I didn't want to go too crazy with my foam adhesive. I know, what's the world coming to that I didn't want to go crazy with my foam adhesive, but I think it turned out really nice. So there's my backgrounds, and now I'm going to kind of look. I did die cut a couple of letters. I thought I was going to die cut the shadow for the Jeff Alpha from Vellum, but I feel like it disappears into this particular color combination. I didn't love it. This is an amazing alphabet. You guys, I love this alphabet. So good. The perfect size, the perfect detail. It's just really amazing. So I've kind of laid out my sentiments for each card. The florals I think I'm going to use on each card. I did switch up one of them. I thought I was going to use high and I just didn't like it. It didn't fit. So I ended up using yay. I went to my Pinkfresh Studio stash and I found the Charming floral stamp set. I believe that's what it's called. And I am going to pull sentiments from this and stamp them on some smooth white cardstock with clear embossing ink and heat emboss with silver embossing powder. I did switch up one of the sentiments. You'll notice that I am masking off the word you. The phrase says, "I'm smiling because of you." We're going to replace the word you with die cuts. So that is a great way to make one of the words from your sentiment a little more prominent, a little more bold, and it works really, really well. So I am going to emboss that, and then I'm going to take the Simon Says Stamp sentiment labels dies and die cut my sentiments into strips that I can use to finish off the greetings on my cards. I always like to line up one side of the sentiment with the sentiments label die cut it, then I flip the die around and I die cut the other side. That way it's perfectly cut and you get that nice little ridge from the die, but you could always just do this with a paper trimmer, or you could just use your scissors after die cutting it once. It would be a little bit easier. Now when I run it through the other way, I only run it far enough that I can hear the click that it die cuts that end. And I'm going to do this for all 3 sentiment strips and lay them out with their cards. Next, I am going to glue the silver foil die cut letter onto the white backer. And I do like the white. I think it helps make the letters or the alphabet stand out from the background. And I'm placing an acrylic block on top to help hold it nice and flat while that liquid glue dries. And I'm going to do that for all of my letters. And as I mentioned, I'm going to have hugs, you, and yay is what I ended up using. I am doing A2 size cards. Now, I think you could break up a longer word, let's say birthday, for example, and you could kind of do B-I-R-T on the first line, T-H, and then D-A-Y on the bottom, and stack your greeting. And that could be for lots of different greetings. If you want to do an A2 or even a 5x7 card. Slimline cards, that's going to give you a little bit more real estate to spell out words nice and long if you want to. You know, wishes, birthday, Mary, whatever. But imagine spelling out things like joy. You could do peace, love, and joy for holidays. So I really think there's a lot of great things you can do with this alphabet die set. If you're looking for a wonderful alphabet die set, I think this would be a great one. I love it. Now I did kind of slightly overlap the hugs to make them fit. I like how it turned out. I thought it was kind of cute. But the other 2 I am going to line up just kind of straight across. 3 of the letters fit really well in this direction. If I had gone landscape, would have been a little easier to fit, but I liked this better with the design I was doing. I'm going to pop up a little flower with some foam underneath. And then I want to use these 2 small flowers. So this is the card where I said I ended up using that same image because I foiled, stenciled, and die cut the Dreamy Florals twice. I was able to use that little small image twice on my card, which worked out great. I'm popping up my stamped and embossed sentiment strip as well with a little foam adhesive. That and the florals are popped up, and then I'm just kind of framing up the die cut greeting with my florals. The background still is the focus, but for sure you get the amazing look of all of the elements together. So let's go ahead and put together this last one. And of course, this is the largest floral grouping, so it will cover up the most of the background, but I, again, still think that you get the feeling of that overlapping geoleaf background. Now, I did have to use a little bit more foam adhesive on this one because it was a much bigger image. I ended up even adding a few additional little foam squares to all of the little buds. Really, really pretty. I even think that these florals would look awesome if you're framing up some sort of a frame on a card, like an oval or a circle. I think that they just have that nice, beautiful curve to them and they would be perfect. I'm going to add a little red heart to each card. These are the candy apple hearts from Trinity Stamps. I love these little hearts so much, and it adds a fun little pop of red, and you guys know how much I love little heart accents. Finally, I'm going to take some of these icy, I think they're icy aqua baubles from Trinity Stamps, and they're actually the perfect coordinating little pearl. I just grabbed something I had in my stash that matched to add a little extra embellishment to the finished card design, and I have really been loving pearls lately. So we are going to scatter a few of those on each card. Because each card is slightly different, I did a little bit different design, I guess, on each one, and that is going to be it. Once we have all of our little pearls in place, our cards are all finished. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this focus on backgrounds, foiling, stenciling, and die cut cards featuring brand new products from the Pinkfresh Studio November 2022 release. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Pinkfresh Studio products that you might be interested in. Please be sure to visit my blog, there's a link in the profile, and leave a comment for a chance to win a prize from Pinkfresh Studio. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you would like to become a member of Patreon, please click the link in the description below. We would love to see you over there as part of our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new card making or paper crafting video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.